don't speak to the workers in the shops. We speak to the owner. Because those people, those Zimbabweans who are working in a restaurant, they did not hire themselves. They did not take out a knife and force the owner to hire them. We must go to the owner and say to the owner, we want a balance in this shop to protect the rights of all those who are working here. And when the owner does not listen and we close the shop, the Zimbabwean brothers, the Zimbabwean sisters must be with us on the same side against capital which wants to divide us, because they thrive through divide and rule. Your enemy is not your black brother. Your enemy is not your black sister. We've got a common enemy, and that capitalism, and that enemy is capitalism. And in South Africa, the face of capital is white monopoly capital. Those are our enemies. So, Mzwanele is here. I know he's always saying South Africa first, South Africa first. That fits exactly into the narrative of the colonialist and apartheid apologist. Once they see us pushing each other, they know they will succeed. What they do, they hire Zimbabweans and then come to you and say, hey, alena mereko. Or hey, why is na mereko? But the same people who hired the Zimbabweans, because they thrive through divide and rule. We must put that principle to an end through the unity of Africans. It's an important struggle because these borders, Comrade Mani, are not of our own making. There were no borders in Africa. They came to impose borders in Africa. And you wake up in the morning and say, no, the borders have opened. We need to close the borders. No. And then in the same sentence say, I don't want colonialism. I don't want imperialism, but I want borders. The borders were imposed by colonizers. So when you say, I want a border, you are supporting the idea of the colonizers. How can you not want them when you support their ideas? Go and read your history. Many of us come from up there in the north, coming down here. Many of us, that's why there can't be Mpofu here. Dalimpofu is not here. There can't be Dalimpofu here who says, I don't want Zimbabweans. The Mpofus are in Zimbabwe. The Mpofus are in Zimbabwe. You cannot come here and want to use language and to divide us. Medicine in Shona is Mushonga. Medicine in Venda is Mushonga. We are one thing, we speak one language, the difference is dialects, and therefore we cannot pay attention on dialects. You know why they hate me? Because I'm teaching you these things. They want you to remain dumb, because without brains, they can control you. But when we are united as Africans, no one can come between us and divide us. So let us fight until we know who we are. Because what they did was to take our identity. One day I will tell you why I'm Mushabi. Mushabi are black Jews. But not today. I will explain to you why I'm a black Jew. Because we come from very far. Where these Jews claim they come from, that's where we come from. Actually, the original Jew is black. But let me leave that debate. We'll deal with it some other day. So before you speak very bad of the Jews in Bhutan, you must check you are next to Mushabi, Malema by himself. So you must be careful. You ought to know who you are to avoid being manipulated by those who thrive through divide and rule. So, comrades, our case is postponed to March next year. In our mind, there is no case. We must never worry about that. We leave that in Lawrence's hands and his team. We must win this case. Because if we don't win this case, then they must know they've compromised their career. They can't use such a simple, useless case. So they have to make sure we win.